Hare Krishna. So today we are going to discuss a very interesting topic, death. So here is a short story. Once upon a time there was a king. Now his guru noticed, previously everybody had a guru, and the king's guru noticed that the king was getting very attracted to material things. And so he decided to teach him a lesson. So the guru ordered one of his disciples to pretend to be a madman, and he sent him to the king with a message. So the message was, "O king, here is a madman, give him some work to do." Now the king gave the madman a job. What is the job? He had to just wander around the kingdom with a stick in his hand. Now after a few years, circumstances brought the king close to death, and he wanted to meet his loved ones like everybody. So after meeting everyone, he finally remembered the madman. When the madman was called, and when he came to the palace, he saw that the king was lying on his deathbed. Of course, he couldn't make out that it was his deathbed. So the king said, "I'm leaving for the last journey of my life. Ask for whatever you want. I will give it to you before I leave." The madman said, "Oh my lord, I am glad to hear about your journey." "Well, are you taking your queens with you?" The king, in a very sober voice, said, "No, that's not possible." The madman said, "Oh, is it? Okay, at least maybe you're taking your wealth with you." The king said, "No, that's not possible either." Madman is thinking, "Oh, is it? Okay, maybe you can take some good food with you." Again, the king said, "Impossible." Finally, wanting to do the madman a favor, the king said, "You have served me faithfully for many years. So you do one thing, you bring another madman in your place. I will make all arrangements so that the rest of your life will be comfortable. You will not have to work anymore." Now, the madman started thinking. After thinking for a while, he pointed his finger at the king and said, "Oh my lord, here is a greater fool than I." The king became angry and he asked, "What are you saying?" The madman said, "Oh king, you spent all your life conquering other kingdoms, amassing great wealth, attaining high positions, but now you are saying that you can't take anything with you on this final journey. Then why have you wasted your life like this?" Good story, isn't it? The meaning of this story is, we come empty-handed and we go empty-handed. We cannot take anything that we accumulate in this life with us when we die. Therefore, isn't it really foolish to just live for the sake of just accumulating wealth, possessions, etc.? Isn't there any other goal? Isn't there any other reason to live? So what is this death? The soul leaving this gross body and all associated relationships, possessions, etc. is called death. And then the soul moves into another body. Now when does this death occur, or how long does the soul remain in the body? It depends on our lifespan. We discussed this briefly. Now Ayurveda, lifespan is counted by the number of breaths, not number of years. Now, so yogis, what do yogis do? You go to a yoga class, what do? You you control your breath. It's called pranayama. And so what do the yogis do? The yogis slow down their breathing. Because, just try to understand this, the lifespan is based on number of breaths. Now, if you elongate your breath, now normally if you take 2 seconds to take one breath, right? And now you elongate that to 10 seconds, which means that you simply elongated your lifespan 5 times. So you might have seen this, if any of you have gone to Kumbh Mela, you will see like so many sadhus there, long nails, long hair. You will see and you will be wondering, what shampoo are they using? How is it possible for the nails to grow so long? It's impossible for ordinary people who live only for 80, 100 years. So how did these sadhus have such long nails, such long hair? They must have lived for hundreds of years. And in fact, they have, because they elongate their breathing. But after the end of their fixed lifespan, just as a rented house has to be evacuated when the lease expires, the soul has to leave the body. There is no possibility of staying one more moment beyond the allotted time. Okay, so now what is the process of death? Now, just like if you've seen a caterpillar, right? Caterpillar moves from one leaf to the other. Now, caterpillar, it moves from one leaf to the other. It takes its legs off the previous leaf only after it has found footing on the new leaf. which means that it found a new leaf and it's confident of moving on the new leaf, and it left the support of the old leaf. So similarly, this soul leaves this body when it has been allocated a next body. So the body has to be allocated. Now, who allocates this body? Bhagavad Puran says, Karmana daiva netrena jantur dehopattaye. Karmana daiva netrena. Daiva netrena means supervision of Supreme Lord. And karmana, according to the result of work, the soul gets a particular body. Now, we cannot ourselves decide, oh, I like this kind of body, let me get it. No, it depends on the type of karma and the sanction. So the type of life we have lived, it creates a certain type of mentality, isn't it? And a certain type of thought process. And at the time of death, it's the same thought process which kind of continues. So Krishna says in Bhagavad Gita 8th chapter, Yam yam vapi smaran bhavam tyajat yante kalayvaram. So he says, based on whatever we think and remember at the time of death, we get the next body. So we have a certain approach to life, we live with certain mentality, certain thought process, and the same thing continues up to death. And at the time of death, whatever we remember, we get the next body. Now, this time of death, it's said to be very, very painful. What is this pain? Pain experience if 40,000 scorpions bite us at one time. Excruciating, unimaginable pain. However, this pain is not experienced by all. Let's take an example to understand this. Suppose say you're in a rented house and your owner asks you to vacate the house in 2 months. However, you are very attached to the house, as you've been staying in the house for many years, and you're saying, oh no, this is not fair, how can you do this to us? We've been here for so long, blah, blah, blah. And in this, lamentation, you did not bother to find another house, and that, notice period is over, and the owner comes to vacate you from the house. But because you're so attached to the house, you will experience immense pain when you're being thrown out of the house, isn't it? So similarly, those human beings who are too attached to the body and things connected to the body suffer the pain of death. So these are some of the aspects about what death is. Generally people say, why talk about death? But we need to know, it's something everybody is going to experience. Right? So this is a little introduction. Thank you very much. Hare Krishna.